Hi there. This is going to be a 15 to 20 minute restorative practice. And this you can do all winter long. You'll basically hold each breath for 5 to 20 breaths, or stay from like 1 to 5 minutes per pose. All right, so before you get started, I'd like for you to take some time to get yourself set up. You can do a couple things. You can, of course, light a candle. You can burn some sage. You can do, you can play some really nice, relaxing music. You can use some essential oils to sort of shift your mood and your attention, something to signal that this time is your time, right? And you don't have to be separate from the people in your life, though it's really nice to be in a room where you can close the door or you're not going to be interrupted, but it's not a requirement. Really, yoga is meant to be done all the time. Of course, we have our formal practice and we have our poses and that sort of thing. But really what we learn and what becomes transformative is really the ways in which we take our practice off of the mat. So this is why we give ourselves these times, so that we can show up in our lives with more attention, with more vibrancy, with more willingness, and to also listen to ourselves when we need to take rest and we need to step back and we need to be alone or be together or whatever the case may be. So let's get started. I would like for you to start on your back with your knees bent. So you'll be lying down. And now I'd like for you to drop your knees to the right. And notice what's happening with your shoulders here. You want your shoulders to stay as close to the earth as you can. And you want to feel into that connection between the left shoulder and the right knee. So you're feeling this whole left side body, breathing into the left lung. Good. And now I'd like for you to do the same, dropping your knees now to the left. And just pause here for a moment, feel into the right side body. And then I'd like for you to just move gently back and forth, moving your knees from side to side, to the right, then the left, taking your time. And then go ahead and do that for about 5 more breaths. Go slowly. Slower is better for this. Now, I'd like for you to hug your knees into your chest. Take several deep breaths here. Feel your shoulders soften and relax. Now, what I'd like for you to do is cross your legs like you would in an easy seated pose. All right, so you're going to move from your knees here to a cross-legged pose so that you're seated and supported. Right? So it's an easy shape for your knees. And then what I'd like for you to do is take your right arm underneath your head. So your right hand is actually going to connect to your left shoulder, and then your left hand is either going to come on top or underneath, and you're going to have the left hand touch the right shoulder. So it's a pretty loungeful position. And then once you get here, go ahead and close your eyes. Take about 5 breaths here. That's about 1 full minute. And depending on your breathing, It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less. So take 5 breaths for good measure. And then I'd like for you to switch the cross of the feet and the cross of the arms. So it might feel slightly more awkward than the first round. Same thing, easy cross-legged pose. Right hand to left shoulder, left hand to right. Settle in. And you want to try for symmetry, but it does not have to be perfect. Especially if this is your sort of awkward side. Each side feels a little bit more graceful than the other. So focus your attention on your breathing, settle into your breath there. Feel the breath in your belly and let the breath be soothing and smooth. And I'd like for you to gently and slowly release your head onto the ground. Draw your knees into your chest. Take a hold of your right knee and extend the left leg long. So just rest your attention and your awareness here. And then switch to the opposite side. Extending your right leg, rather your left leg long, drawing whatever side you did not do the first time. Good. Then I'd like for you to sort of roll onto your right side and come and sit up. So you're going to bring your hands about 4 to 6 inches behind your hips with your fingertips facing toward the top of your mat. Now, your knees are bent. And what I'd like for you to do is place your right ankle on top of your left knee and then gently lift the chest as you press into your hands. So this action will stretch your outer hip. And this is one of those poses that you can do throughout the day. If you're watching television. And the hips hold a lot of our stress. Hips kind of carry that which we don't really know what to do with. They're kind of like, excuse the pun, the Urban Dictionary version of this, but it's kind of like a junk drawer. We store emotion, we store up for the future physiologically, and we hold a lot, this area really holds a lot of cortisol and holds a lot of our fight or flight energy. So go ahead and release this side. And now you'll take the left ankle to the right knee, same thing. And if this is starting to not feel so good on your wrist, feel free to adjust the position of your hand. But what you really want to do is work on lifting the chest up, because the more we lift up through the chest, the more we're going to feel the stretch through that outer hip. Good. I'm gently rocking this hip because that's what feels good in this moment. We never really want to be rigid. Stillness is always dynamic. There's always an element of stepping into stillness or stepping out of stillness. But we want to keep flexibility and fluidity. So if you find yourself clenching or holding on or resisting, it can be helpful to just simply move a little. go ahead and release that. Just come to an easy seat, and we'll just take a few minutes of meditation here before we lie back down for Shavasana. So for your meditation seat, it is helpful to make sure that your knees are lower than your hips. So for that, if you sit up on something, like I'm sitting up on a pillow right now, this will help give your hip flexors the opportunity to release and to relax. And this can have a really restorative element just by positioning yourself in such a way where you can relax and release and let go. Well, please close your eyes. Welcome yourself to this moment. Consider where you are in the cycle, the beginning, the end, the middle. We're always in some place within a cycle. And each part of the cycle has its gift and its shadow. And that understanding requires of us some trust, a willingness to continue on and to trust the process. And this can be very difficult to do when there is a strong emotion or a heavy thought pattern. And for me, when I get in those places, it's very helpful for me to talk with a friend, to book a session with a coach or a therapist, or even just a trusted friend with a boundary of, I really need to work something out. Will you listen? This, of course, requires and asks us to be vulnerable. Many of us can have fear around vulnerability based on a past experience or a trauma. But it's our vulnerability that really makes us more attractive and approachable and relatable. Vulnerability brings compassion and kindness. So it is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be messy vulnerable. And it's also okay to be where you are, unsure. So as we sit here for another moment of meditation, I'd like for you to bring your attention towards your breath, a place within you that you can trust to be there for you. In these times in late 2020, we've all been exposed to the possibility of losing our ability to breathe. This creates fear, it creates anxiety. But in the moments that we have, it is the deep breaths that give us the oxygen we need to ride the anxiety. So please take 3 more deep breaths with me. I'd like for you to gently open your eyes And make your way back down for Shavasana. So you can come all the way onto your back. You can support your knees or your feet or your head or your heart. I will leave those options up to you. And once you're settled and comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and take another deep breath in. Pause at the top of the inhale and then exhale and slowly release it out. And then I'd like for you to allow your breath to simply be natural. The cadence and the rhythm to be natural. The awareness to be softer, dissipated. So the awareness is more outside, looking in 360 degrees with a softness like you're scanning. There's a gentle alertness, but really you're very relaxed. Though this time right now is really for you. It's for your benefit. It's your time. It's for you to cultivate a connection with yourself, to receive the gift of your own presence. What inevitably comes out of that when we've given to ourselves is our desire and ability to give to others. So as you rest here in Shavasana, I'd like to read 2 pages from Jeff Foster's book, The Way of Rest. And this is called How to Help. So for the next 2 minutes or so, please listen for the words that resonate with you. Disregard anything that does not. Perhaps it is time to stop trying to fix the one in front of you. To stop trying to give them answers to solve their problems. You're not very good at that, friend. Your nature is not manipulation, but presence, not division, but wholeness. Perhaps it's time to stop pretending to be the all-knowing authority, the infallible teacher, the fully healed expert. Even with the best intentions, you may unknowingly be interfering with their natural healing processes. You may be keeping them dependent on you, distracting them from a deep trust in their own first-hand experience. In trying to fix them, you may just be communicating to them you are broken. Remember, they may need to feel worse before they feel better. They may need to feel their pain more deeply than before they open up to the true source of healing. They may need to die to who they thought they were before they can truly live. True for them, true for you. It's certainly something to consider. So relax, breathe. Come out of the drama. Acknowledge your desire to change or to fix or even pacify. Now, simply listen without judgment and try to understand where they are now. Stand in their shoes. See clearly who and what is in front of you. Perhaps the greatest gift you can offer right now is your clarity and non-judgmental attention, your interest, your understanding, your curiosity. Bring that transmission, be that presence, offer that openness, stay wide open to solutions that have not yet been born. Be the silent intention, and the right words, actions, interventions, decisions will come without effort. Sanctify their moment by not running away. Mirror their own capacity to be present. Trust the ancient mystery of healing. Perhaps the true medicine can flourish when you get out of the way. Yes, drugs and good advice may numb or even silence symptoms and maybe give you the support. It maybe give the support that is needed for a season. But an invitation to a deeper spiritual healing may be lurking just under the surface. So with those words, I would like to invite you to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. When you're ready, you make your way up to a seat, taking the time to close this space, to take what you've learned and offer it up in service of those that you love, in service of strangers, in service of all of us. Please bring your hands together to the light that we share. I bow. Namaste.